Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, which means it's time for yet another solid Saturday morning. I am your host, Mr. Kadish. Get it right. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot. We're going to be talking about celebrities moving to OnlyFans because it pays better than Hollywood does, apparently. We're also going to be talking about some Star Trek stuff and some other odds and ends that are going to be very interesting, I promise you. But before we get to that, let me introduce my fantastic panel of nerds, starting with Helldiver himself, Matt Vader 74. How you doing, buddy?
Bro, I am so horned up today. You have no idea. I'm sitting here. I got no pants on, and I'm so excited because Star Trek's getting canceled. It's amazing. No more Discovery. No more of those idiot pronoun lecturing assholes on our Star Trek TV. I'm so happy. You have no idea. And we get granny porn from Adriana. It's going to be fantastic. I am just so happy right now. Let's go. Let's do this. And then I'm going to go kill some bugs.
Yeah.
So
all right. And he's here. He's queer. He's our shield against all things woke and progressive and all that terrible stuff. Brian from the Popcast. How you doing, buddy?
I'm just glad we're not talking about Star Wars.
Well, we do have a story lined up, but
little bit of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with Matt. I haven't jumped into Helldivers yet, but when I get some time, I will be also killing bugs. That's the plan.
Well, the real question, Brian, is do you have pants on?
Bro, I never have pants on.
Of course not.
pants are for public.
Yeah,
I met him in person one time. He didn't have pants on.
Yep. I didn't see a point.
And on a very rare occasion, we have the Unabomber himself, our fearless leader, the host of and creator of the Salty Nerd podcast, Alex, because Odin's away for Easter and Tom just can't be bothered to show up because he's too important of a person. So Alex is filling in today. How you doing, Alex?
Good. I'm honored to get the call when your best hosts leave and just bounce, and you're just like, oh my god, somebody's got to call Alex. Come in, help us out. I am a little disappointed that I didn't get the dubbed the Helldiver because I think I'm a higher rank than Vader right now. He's a death captain. I'm a death captain. That's right.
Yeah, but you don't have the background. You don't have the.
I don't know. He's fancier than I am with that background, man. He's got a Bile Titan behind him. Move your chair a little bit so people can see the Bile Titan. Look at that. Ah, savage. Love it. Awesome. Yes, thanks for being here. Thank you for letting me be here. I guess I don't know. I'm tired.
You guys put me in your Helldivers group, and I've been getting spammed all week, man.
Well, you told me you were buying the game. You told me you were buying the game. I thought you had it already.
I mean, that's fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying you guys talk a lot in there, bro.
Well, speaking of slumming it, we have our special guest, a guy who is way too important to be on our show, Mr. Sean Chandler himself. Welcome back, Sean. It's good to have you here.
Well, not important enough to get invited to your Helldivers 2 group, though. I have been playing I have been playing Helldivers. Only I don't have much time to play much, but I did buy it and played with a couple people, and I've got my son into it, which has been my on-ramp to get my son into Starship Troopers, which my wife is not crazy about me trying to show my 11-year-old Starship Troopers, but I'm a good father, so I'm trying to show him the good stuff. I actually was going to put up a picture of Johnny Rico doing a salute at the end of Starship Troopers 3 Marauders for this live stream, and then I'm like, we're probably not going to be talking about anything like that. And then we started talking about Helldivers immediately, and I missed my opportunity.
You know, Sean, I wanted to ask you, have you ever seen the Starship Troopers animated series?
So whenever Helldivers 2 came out, I just got obsessed with like diving into it. I haven't watched Roughnecks, but I bought the 2 live action direct to video films and then the 2 animated films. So I watched both of them in the last month, Invasion and Traders of Mars.
Well, let me tell you something. I watched Roughnecks when it aired. It was a show that went under the radar, and it's the best Starship Troopers out there.
Ooh, interesting.
We need to check that out.
Legit. Like it's fantastic. It puts the movies to shame, except maybe the first one. But there's actual character development and actual stakes and like you actually feel stuff when people die and like all this stuff. It's a great show.
Interesting. So I did the rabbit trail. I didn't even think to check the show. Now, is it on anywhere that you can watch it right now?
I don't know. Like I I watched it when it aired on like I think it was like Cartoon Network or something like that, like a long time ago. And since then, like I haven't seen or heard about it. But I just remember being so impressed with that show. Like, I'd actually wake up before work to watch it when it aired. And yeah, can't say enough good things about it. But
somehow I wasn't following Sean. I got unfollowed. So Sean, follow me back on Twitter.
Okay.
And
will do.
You're gonna get out to do the group.
Yep.
The secret rip that everybody knows about.
I'll keep turning you down because I'm always busy. But
okay.
I do want to play more, and I don't like playing with strangers, and so I've really only played with my buddy Cody Leach. I think he's been on here before, but he's the one that got me into it.
Yeah.
That's
why
the
we
whole
have
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, real quick, guys, subscribe to Sean's channel over at YouTube. Sean Chandler Talks About. Link in the description. So if you want to go right there and subscribe to him, you certainly can. And speaking of people that we appreciate, also want to give a big shout out to our new top super chatter, Scotty Dub, who came in last week with the 199 super chat drop. Completely blew out our former champion, William Forbes, threw down the gauntlet once again. However, William Forbes is still our top contributor of the year because he has done a lot more super chats than Scotty has. But that does not mean that the rivalry has been quashed because there's still a lot more room to improve here.
I just want to invite everybody out there that it's not just a game between Scotty and William Forbes. You guys can all try to top each other with all you want. Please try to take each other out. We would actually really love to see that happen. So
do it.
Indeed. And we also have one of our most regular super chatters, Mexican Iron Man. He, whenever he can, drops those super chats. He's one of our most consistent super chatters. And speaking of which, we have our gifters, Julian N, WG, Sam Schwager, Major Chai Chai, and Eric Winberg. Really appreciate you guys, especially Major Chai Chai. I see him in the chat right now, for gifting those subs to our chat people, because we have a lot of fun members only content in our members only playlist. So if you guys get a membership or already have a membership, go check out all the member stuff. And in fact, this Tuesday we're going to be doing a members live stream. I know that March was kind of a weird month because we had to reschedule shows and stuff like that. But we are back to our regularly scheduled programming in April. So really appreciate that. And speaking of Mexican Iron Man, we got a Mexican Iron Man super sticker for $4.99. I'm sure Mike is taking time off of his survivalist training to drop a super sticker for us. So we appreciate that, Mike, and appreciate you as well. Okay, guys, and real quick, we have a membership goal, speaking of members, of 10 new members this live stream. So if we can hit that goal, we would very much appreciate that. In fact, we're already halfway there because Jillian N, the queen of gifted memberships herself, has gifted 5 Salty Nerd Podcast memberships. Really appreciate that, Jillian. You are awesome. And for those of you who got those memberships, be sure to check out the members content you got going on. And also, Alex, we got a lot of stuff going on the Patreon side of things as well. On Monday, we've got our review of A Nightmare on Elm Street coming out. And for Patreon, we're doing our old school movie reviews over there. So if you guys like that stuff, head on over to Patreon. And we're getting ready to do another movie commentary. You want to tell people what we're doing? You got to unmute yourself, Alex.
You're muted.
Sorry, I'm trying to follow the rules, and now I'm all lost. This week, we are doing a commentary, I believe, is it Hackers, right? With the Angelina Jolie movie Hackers. I think it might have been one of her first movies.
Yep.
It's a ridiculously stupid movie, like hacker movie from the 90s where computers were like the rage and everybody was getting on the internet buzz. It's a fun movie. I cannot wait to sit down with you guys and seen it. I don't know, Vader, have you seen that before? Or is it going to be your first watch?
Is this the thing where we sit in the studio and watch a movie and talk over it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that okay.
Yeah,
no,
it's going to be awesome.
I have not seen this movie.
Bro, I can't wait to show you. It's going to be so fun.
So that means I don't have to watch it before we go. So
I hope you're watching Swordfish after that. Make it a whole theme.
That's a good follow-up. That is a great follow-up.
A great follow-up, dude.
Yeah.
Halle Berry got like 10 million per boob for that movie.
Yeah, and remember he hacks with like 6 monitors.
He's got like 17 monitors. It's Hugh Jackman. He's skinny Hugh Jackman.
He's using 2 fingers like this.
And John Travolta with
Twilight
the worst
Zone 2.
toupee ever.
Yes, yes. What a great movie.
That's a great movie.
Hack the planet. Hack the planet.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we got that going on over on the Patreon. And of course, if you're a top Patreon subscriber, you get those movie commentaries included in your subscription. So that's always a fun thing over there. Otherwise, if you don't want to subscribe to Patreon, you can purchase those for $10 and enjoy yourself watching movies along with the salty nerds as we just like cringe for about 2 hours straight. The one that we have available right now is Masters of the Universe, the classic Dolph Lundgren He-Man movie. But also I want to let everyone know that we are now going to be reading super thanks on the stream. So if you guys drop super thanks, if you're watching this on replay and you want to like support the show and drop super thanks, we will copy those down and we will read them on the next stream. So like you guys will be acknowledged if you want to do that. All right, guys. So we have taken care of all the housekeeping stuff, which means that it is time to get to the actual stories that we're going to be talking about today. And I normally wouldn't lead with this, but I know that because we have Alex on the program today, I figured what better way to start off the show than to talk about a new Boondock Saint movie coming out. So I personally hate the Boondock Saint movies. I think that they're way overrated. But however, there is hope here. So the production company that did the John Wick films got the rights to the Boondock Saints movies, and they have basically taken the writer and creator of the series, Troy Duffy, and sidelined him. So he's not going to have anything to do with the actual sequel to Boondock Saints 2. And it looks like what they're planning to do is they're planning to basically relaunch this as a John Wick style action franchise. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of a hardcore, Boondock Saints with like, close quarters combat and guns and stuff like that. And Norman Reedus and Sean Patrick Flannery are returning to reprise their roles. But Alex and Vader, when we reviewed the original Boondock Saints for the Salty Nerd podcast, we also watched the documentary on Troy Duffy that showed just how unhinged of an egomaniac this guy was. Yeah. And, when you look at the Boondock Saints sequel, which was pure Troy Duffy, like it was just like he did exactly what he wanted to do. It was pretty awful. So I think that this take on the Boondock Saints is going to be much better, hopefully. But Alex, I wanted to get your take on this since you are such a big Boondock Saints fan.
Yeah, I was introduced to Boondock Saints, the original movie, back when I was a teenager, and I thought it was the most glorious freaking action movie I'd ever seen at the time. I was like, this is freaking and I lived like not too far away from Boston as well, so I was like, it became part of my personality for a while. It's probably why I wear these stupid sunglasses, because I want to be like those guys. I have the jacket that they wear, the black t-shirt, the jeans, and that Boston. I do have that jacket. Yes, I wear it all the time. I love it.
I'm getting your motif.
You see my personality coming out now. Yeah,
I'm starting to see it. Yes.
And then I watched it with my best friends, Matthew Kadish, Matt Vader, Jude. I was hanging out with them. I was like, "Oh, can we watch Boondock Saints?" And then Kadish just squashed my entire perception of this movie because he's like, "Hey, the guy who made it is a real piece of shit, right?" And I'm like, "What? No, don't tell me that." So I watched this documentary, and Troy Duffy is just a freaking absolute egomaniac and somebody I would never want to be around. So it kind of ruined the movies for me a little bit. The second one is not good. It's not.
That's
good.
What Matt does.
It's fun, but it's not good. But seeing the information coming out about the sequel or the third in this trilogy, hopefully. Because the last time we left off with the Duke brothers was they were in jail and they were being threatened by all the inmates that were there. So I don't know if they're going to start the movie off with like a jailbreak or something like that. Who knows? Maybe Willem, what is his name? Willem Dafoe is going to come back. That'd be great to see him again. I'm very excited about the prospect of seeing these characters on the big screen again, and given the fact that it's going to be some new talent in the directing chair, and especially if they're attached to John Wick. Hopefully they don't go too overboard because the last John Wick movie sucked, but I think I'm all for it. Green lights all across the board. I want to see the final chapter of the story. I'm really looking forward to it.
I want to see a scene where they're trying to climb up this massive flight of stairs. And they just keep falling down.
They just keep falling down. But I do hope that they keep the style of, I know Troy Duffy's not a great person, but the thing that we love about Boondock Saints is that like raw, weird humor that he put into that movie. And just the over the top swearing and the cat scene where they accidentally shoot the cat and he splatters against the wall like that. I feel like that has to take a certain amount of like a weird type of humor to come up with those scenarios. And that's what I love about that first movie. So I hope they don't stray too far away from Duffy's vision about this whole story. But who knows? We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it either way.
All right. So the production company that is basically taking over the Boondock Saints franchise is called Thunder Road Films. And they, in addition to John Wick, they also produced the Continental TV series. They're doing Monkey Man, which also looks really badass. It's the Dev Patel, kind of like Indian John Wick, I guess. But also the Ballerina is going to be their next big theatrical release. And so they're looking to basically create or develop a new IP in the Boondock Saints world, and they could even possibly bring on a new duo for them to pass the torch on to. But I want to go to Sean on this one because nobody's watched more movies on this panel than Sean probably. And Sean, what's your take on the Boondock Saints, and do you think that this is a positive development for the franchise?
Well, first off, my pitch, we take what he just said. They shoot a cat on accident. Turns out it's John Wick's cat. It's a midfield between a couple of the John Wick movies. John Wick versus the Boondock Saints. Printing money right there. Yeah, so I was huge into Hong Kong action movies in the 90s and John Woo and all that when he transitioned over and then went back to check out Hard Boiled and all of that. So then Boondock Saints comes out, and it's something from this side of the ocean that actually has a style to it. So I was pretty obsessed with the first Boondock Saints around the year 2000, 2001. Watched it on repeat. By the time the second one came out, it was so long delayed that I'd gotten married, had a job, and so I didn't see it when it came out. If it had come out in 2003, I would have been there at the first showing, waiting in line for 4 hours to make sure I had the best seat. But by the time it came out, I missed it. And all the buzz I heard was it's not good. So I still haven't seen the second movie.
Oh my
But
god!
maybe I'll do a double feature tonight and rewatch. Like for me, I think of Norman Reedus as the guy from Boondock Saints, not his zombie show that I guess he's been up to for the last 15 years.
Same.
So, like the idea that I feel like right now there's a little bit of an action renaissance going on where we're getting back to the good old days of action and not just a bunch of CGI spectacle, of course, with the John Wick guys and the John Wick franchise, but then they're building out a whole studio of things doing this, as well as Sam Hargrave doing the Extraction movies. And so there's that revival taking place. So then you kind of go, what franchises are out there that would, like Norman Reedus is much more popular now than he was in 1999 because of The Walking Dead. And he has a franchise that's part of a genre that you could have a revival to it. So it makes sense to me. There's the list of things that were in there of the Continental TV show. I started it, never finished it. So that's not like the best point of reference. Ballerina, they're like, there's not enough action in here. We need to reshoot this to add action into our John Wick spinoff. I have seen Monkey Man, and it's really good. And it's stylized. It's more thoughtful than people are thinking, but the action is as cool as you hope. But that was also done kind of separate from that was Dev Patel's project. So the studio itself doesn't make me as excited as I would like it to, because I look at Continental and I go, I don't know that they knocked that out of the park. So I don't know, but it makes sense to me that they're doing it, and something tied to John Wick wanting to do this. Of course, that's the premium brand, John Wick, when it comes to Hollywood action.
Well, Sean, the real question here is that when you see Sean Patrick Flannery, do you see him as young Indiana Jones first and foremost?
I do. I watched Young Indiana Jones from when the first episode dropped way back in the day. And so, you jump forward 10 years from there, and then he's in Boondock Saints and he's a grown man. And so my brain was always had like this strange disconnect, like, wait, that's Indiana Jones in this as well? That he showed up in a Saw movie 10 years after that is interesting to see those ones. But yeah, that starting point was him as the teenage Indiana Jones in that.
Yeah, every time I see Sean Patrick Flannery, I'm just like, young Indiana Jones. He's looking old. Speaking of old, Brian.
And he doesn't look as good as Harrison Ford.
This is true. Brian from the podcast, what's your take on a new Boondock Saints movie carrying on the franchise? Did you like the first one?
Yeah, I didn't mind the first one. I liked it. The second one wasn't so great, in my opinion. I mean, sure, I guess that's the thing, right? We're just reproducing as much old stuff as possible that people at least semi liked, and here we are with Boondock Saints. You know, I don't know if they can really do it with like yeah, I guess they can bring back the super old guys to make this work. But like if they actually want to make this a franchise, obviously they have to introduce some kind of new blood. There's got to be new blood, and it's got to be like a handoff. And if not, if this is just like the end of a trilogy, then that's fine too, I guess. As long as it stays close to its roots, then it'll be successful. That's
All right. And Vader, when we watched Boondock Saints for the podcast, I forget what rating you gave it, but I seem to remember you thinking about it very favorably. What's your take on the possible sequel?
I think I remember enjoying this movie. I've only watched it the one time, so I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. I do get Alex's his love for this, and that's fine. I'm glad that that's there. It's important that people have a passion like that. Honestly, I couldn't have cared less if we ever got this new movie or not. I didn't even know there was a second one. But that's how into this franchise I am. And like Brian said, I think they're really starting to mine the 90s now for things to revive and bring
the
back
90s.
things that nobody wants, that nobody's asking for. And the actors are still young enough to pull some of this stuff off, so might
Wait
as well
for
do it,
Hackers
right?
and Swordfish remake.
Yeah. Well, they're making a Heat. Aren't they redoing Heat or a sequel to Heat or something?
Oh,
soon?
I'm sure.
It's a prequel sequel.
Oh, it's a prequel.
Yeah.
Of course.
No, great. That's fantastic.
Hey, they're doing a sequel to Gladiator 2 now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
It's the adventures of the barbarian that got his head cut off at the beginning of the movie. So yeah,
Oh, dude,
starring Charlie Allen.
I'd watch Charlie do that. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Our buddy Charlie. Shout out. This is one of those movies that I think is it's not going to annoy a ton of people. It's got a niche enough audience to where the people that are pissed off that they're going to revive it, they're just not that big of an audience. So might as well. They might as well do this. I mean, I'll go watch it. I think it'll be fun. Yeah. And it's not like it's like Star Wars or something where they go out there and just destroy it and put a schism in the middle of the planet to where we all fight over for the next 30 years. We're not going to fight over the Boondock Saints till
If it's bad, it's bad. We don't care. Whatever.
Till 2074, it's not going to happen. So
Right.
might as well. Let's go.
Well, I'll say this: if it wasn't for Norman Reedus' star being as high as it is, I don't think this franchise would have any legs whatsoever. So we can probably thank The Walking Dead at least for this one. But I'm looking forward to seeing like a brand new hardcore take on the Boondock Saints. Alex, you're going to say something?
Yeah, just before we polish up this conversation, I just wanted to mention something that the first movie had 239 swear words in the 110-minute runtime of the movie. They have to match or do better. Otherwise, this is not a Boondock Saints movie.
Should we go consult? We should go be consulted.
Some of those words you can't even say anymore, man.
That's the point. That's what I'm saying. Like it has to have that grit to it. If they softball this and they make it like consumable for the general public, no, dude. Like you got to make this for hardcore Boondock Saints fans.
They're gonna softball it a little bit, dude.
Nah.
They are.
If can Conor McGregor be in it as the big bad guy, please?
Dude, that would be kind of cool. That'd be kind of
my
cool,
God.
man. I'm not gonna lie.
He is Irish.
When that guy acts, it sounds like he's reading from postcards where every word is a different postcard. He is the worst actor I've ever seen on screen.
Where the fuck is everyone?
Where is everyone? Oh, I'm so angry right now.
Dude, it would be so perfect. It would be so perfect. It'd be the Duke's third son.
I like Connor, but he just seems so mentally challenged when he's acting. Dude. Oh God! Oh no! That movie was like I said on Twitter, mentally challenged meth head. That's what it was.
Well, I think in our review we were questioning whether or not his ass was CGI'd You guys remember that one?
Right.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm so
Vader-
surprised. I'm so surprised we didn't see penis in that movie with all the butt shots of
Well,
him,
we
Brian-
certainly didn't
Brian-
see any boobs, you know.
and we saw no boobs,
Yeah,
no
no boobs.
penis.
You were looking
Vader-
for Connor's penis, weren't you?
I wanted to compare. Like, you know,
Vader-
oh yeah, he's definitely doing steroids. Oh, he is way bigger than he should be right now. Like that guy's a featherweight, right? So why is he so like yoked in that movie? It's
He's
crazy.
moving up. He's moving up a class.
Vader, do you want
Apparently.
to tell everyone what your consulting agency is called?
Oh, Fat White Boy Gamers.
Yes.
Yeah. this week.
So hire fat white boy gamers if you want your
That's right.
movie/video game to be a success.
That's right. We will hook you up with all the really good recommendations. You need to put some fat white guys in it, and there needs to be some titties.
There you
Yeah,
go.
It's like, hey, bro, you should write a one sheet that just is the same for every video game company. Oh, let me consult. Take about a week, right, and make it look like you're doing work, and then send them the same exact PDF every single time.
And you really need, and we need extra boob physics.
Yeah.
Jiggle.
We
the
need
jiggle
jiggle
has to be-
physics,
jiggle
jiggle physics, and fat white guys.
and fat white guys. That's it. That's it.
Jiggle physics.
Well, guys, speaking of
Physics.
speaking of a movie that would greatly benefit from Vader's, consulting agency, Pirates of the Caribbean is getting a full reboot, apparently.
Oh man.
So this is coming from Comic Book Movie, where they interviewed Jerry Bruckheimer, the mega producer behind the Pirates movies and Top Gun. And he basically let it spill that this is not going to be a sequel. This is going to be a flat out reboot. So everyone's going to be recast. And basically, they're not going to be dealing with Johnny Depp anymore. They're not going to be dealing with like all the schedules of the people who have come up through the franchise. They're like, you know what? We're going to hire a whole new group of people to be Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know if they're keeping the character of Jack Sparrow or what. But basically, this is in Disney's eyes, this is, like a money tree that needs to be milked like yesterday. So Sean, I know that you kind of like keep an eye on all this stuff. What's your take on them deciding to reboot the franchise, get away from Johnny Depp, who basically he was the only reason to watch those movies, and try to go in a new direction with it?
This seems like such a classic example of a studio that seems to have no clue what they want to do with something. They just know that this made them a ton of money. And so it feels like every 2 weeks there's a new announcement that Margot Robbie's doing her version. Craig Mazin is writing his version of it. Now, no, it's actually a total reboot.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
every
A.O.
week we're-
Eldebree.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's just like this whole new pitch. And every time they announce it, it seems like this is new information where it's like, no, you guys are just confused. You don't know what to do and you don't know how to move forward. I'm not totally buying into the idea that there's no pirates without Johnny. I think there's no Jack Sparrow without Johnny, but I don't think the franchise is entirely just him. He's just that thing that did kind of elevate the whole deal and made it so much better. But you go back to the first movie, it's just a really good swashbuckler with horror elements. It's funny. Like, it's just a great, well-rounded blockbuster that, like, everyone else at my household doesn't really like horror movies. So, like, a Pirates of the Caribbean movie is just the right amount of spooky for them that they get their ghouls fix, but then they also get swordplay and they get jokes. And then you get this performance that Johnny Depp had been around for 20 years at the point in time he was in that movie. Everyone knew who Johnny Depp was, and somehow still it catapulted his career to this whole insane other level of stardom because he was so good in it. But like, I think you can do that to someone else. But I don't think they have a clue what they're doing. I don't think they understand what worked before. They're tiptoeing around all this other stuff. And Johnny Depp is in multiple really bad Pirates of the Caribbean movies. So it's not like if he's in it, it's magically good. You have to have a good story. And he's the spice character. You have these other characters that grow, learn, and change, and they're not as fun as him, but he's the one that amplifies everything and makes one more entertaining. So find another way to do that, but that's tough to do because that was such a lightning in the bottle moment, and they want to make their billions, and they just keep second guessing themselves with insane ideas and too many boxes to check or whatever.
So, Alex, the guy who's writing this new version, this rebooted version of Pirates of the Caribbean. His name's Craig Mazin, and he's one of the guys behind the Last of Us adaptation on HBO. And he basically said that him and the original screenwriter Ted Elliott created a script that was so off the wall they were sure Disney wasn't going to go for it. Disney was like, yeah, whatever. So apparently they're going forward with this. But what do you think of the guy behind The Last of Us, which is one of your favorite video games, and you didn't like the show very much, being behind the reboot of Pirates of the Caribbean?
It's more like I have so many puns right now. Disney has lost their magic. They've diversified themselves so much that they've lost their magic. They're not hiring talent anymore. They're hiring for checkboxes, which is why all their movies suck. The original Pirates of the Caribbean movie was a phenomenal film. Sean mentioned everything that I loved about it. Johnny Depp being one of them. But remember, back when that movie was being made, Disney did not like Johnny Depp's interpretation. In fact, they fought him on it. They were like, you can't do this wild, crazy, drunken, ridiculous character. This is so stupid. And he's like, look, let me do it or I'm walking. And they were like, all right, fine. And it became one of the most popular things. Johnny Depp's character does not make or break the movie as a good movie because, like Sean mentioned again, there's a lot of really bad Pirates movies that Johnny Depp's in. But Johnny Depp's character is so pivotal to that whole franchise because he is the one who's driving the action that all the other characters have to react to, right? It's Jack Sparrow's mistakes and his hijinks that create the plot of the movie. Without that, they're going to have to replace that character with somebody. And at the moment, with the current people who are in charge of Disney, they're going to put some checkbox in there, and it's just going to turn sour. It's this. I think this movie's dead in the water, pun intended.
Maybe
like, it's just not.
It's
not going to work.
Maybe Idris Elba can come in and play a pirate. That'd be pretty cool.
I don't know. I mean, look, there's pirates were a very crazy, wild group of people. It doesn't have to be, if Disney's upset, like, oh, I can't have a white guy in my movie. We got to divide. Yeah, there's lots of stories about pirates from all over the world. You can pick anybody, but that's not the point. The point is it going to be fun? Is it going to be adventurous? Is it going to be a little spooky? There's elements to these movies that I don't think they understand how to recreate.
Did you say that the guy that wrote The Last of Us is the guy that's going to be doing this?
Yeah. So basically,
so there's a chance that Davy Jones can come back, and him and Blackbeard could get their beards tangled up together.
Well, didn't they report like it was going to be like Ao Elderberry was going to be a part of it, and she is already a checkbox,
Brian,
right?
I wanted to throw this to you. So there's been a lot of speculation about what the next Pirates movie is going to be about. The first incarnation was like, oh, we're going to have a female Jack Sparrow, and Margot Robbie was going to be that character. Right. And it's like, oh, we're going to have a black female Jack Sparrow who's not Zoe Saldana for some reason, which is that actress that you pointed out. And it sounds like, according to Jerry Bruckheimer, that they're just saying, like, you know what, all those ideas from the past, we're just going to scrap those, and we're going to just start fresh with like brand new characters and like a brand new situation, and have no connection to the original movies whatsoever. So what's your take on this? Do you think that Disney will screw this up this time around?
Yeah, monumentally. Like, if I had to bet on this, if there was like odds, I'd be like, this is 100% going to be screwed up. Like, the day and age we live and the studio that is Disney, they can't help themselves. Like, they have the wrong people working there. They have people working there that don't really care about what we, the dictionary version of success. They care about their version of success. And their version of success has been, to checkbox, to add as much ESG as possible, to promote the message, and to sort of do whatever they want, whatever them and their friends think is cool, and damn the fans and damn the studio. And the studio is too afraid to tell anyone to stop doing it. No matter how much money they lose, they're too afraid to appear an ist or a bigot of some sort. So they just sort of keep their mouth shut and keep promoting the message. We support losing a ton of money. That's 100% not. This is gonna happen. If it's good, I will eat my words 100%. I hope it's good. I hope there's something good to watch. But This is Disney.
No, you don't. You don't hope that, because you're like all the rest of us, because we're all sitting back here going, yes, Disney, make some more trash. You can't help it. Keep doubling down on your nonsense, because every time they do, which is literally for everything that they produce nowadays, everybody out in YouTube land, out in social media world, everybody keeps getting checks from X and from YouTube, and you know, it's just please keep making your shit. Because
I hear what you're saying, but I own stock, and it's like half my portfolio. So I would like for them
you need
just
to
get me to even. Look, I don't care if you collapse, but like just get me to $130, and that's my average, and I'm gonna sell. But I need you to get to $130, please.
Your kids aren't gonna get that. So you know.
Here's what's gonna happen, man. Here's what's gonna happen. Elon Musk is gonna team up with his partner in crime. This lawsuit with Gina Carano is going to drop that stock even lower. Hang on to it, though, Brian, because when the stock's low enough, Elon Musk and his partner, I can't remember the guy's name, they're going to come in.
Nelson Peltz?
Yeah, whatever that guy. Yeah. They're going to swoop in. They're going to own the company. They're going to kick everybody out, and they're going to do the same thing they did with X. They're going to do a rebrand. It's going to be like DX, something like that. I don't know. Elon Musk's going to rename the company.
It's going to be DX.
DX.
No.
It's going to be DX. You know it.
It's going to be DI capital X NEY.
Yeah, it'll be something meme. It'll be some meme thing. Yeah.
It'll be flipped upside down. D's Nuts, just produced by D's Nuts.
No, it'll be called Doji.
Yeah, and the stock is going to soar, and I'm going to sell it immediately. I don't trust it for a second.
Honestly, though, right now, I don't expect anything from Disney to be good until Nelson Peltz and his crew take over and they have a couple years to clean house or do whatever. If that ever even actually happens, Disney's doomed. Disney's doomed until this thing. You know, you got Universal's going to shut down the Disney World Park pretty soon because they're going to have such a much better attraction there with their Epic Universe stuff. You know, the studios all suck. They can't make a Star Wars movie to save their ass. They're making, you know, all female versions of fucking pirates. Come on. Who wants to watch that shit?
Nobody wants to watch that. Well, no, I didn't I see a version of that, but it was adult rated.
Yeah, well, that was from an X-rated movie, one of the best X-rated movies of all time.
It's a great movie,
and most expensive. It was like the Titanic of adult
cinema.
Right,
and it's gonna make more money than this movie.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah,
Vader.
Disney. Yeah.
So if Disney and Jerry Bruckheimer were to hire fat white boy gamers to consult on the upcoming Pirates series, what would you recommend they do?
I would put some fat white boys in it. And there would be
jiggle physics
and some jiggle physics and it is Disney, so we'll go side boob, not full frontal. Okay?
Yeah, but still jiggle physics.
But still how to have the jiggle physics in there. Thank you for that. There you go.
That's the answer.
And they got to be hot. No Lizzos. Okay, got to be hot chicks.
Oh, jiggle physics with Lizzo.
Did you guys hear that Lizzo has retired? She's basically tried everything.
Yes. She's.
Who cares?
Who cares? Exactly. Nobody cares about Lizzo.
I'm retiring. I don't care. What's your name again?
Hey, Lizzo is a Disney princess. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Is that true?
Princess.
This is true. Yeah. Her and Jack Black rule the planet.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
All right. We got some super chats to get to real quick. So let me pull those up as my producer duties. So we have UPHUC Dat Bitch. For $1.99, what's a Boondock Santa?
we have such a classy crowd, just like us. I love it. Thank you guys.
Still appreciate you. Yeah, you want to say the name, Vader?
Says, I can't do it without making it sound racist. But
I think that's why you want to.
I can't do it either.
You
fucked up, bitch.
Yeah, there you go.
We need to get some diversity on this panel.
That's right.
And
so they could do
unlimited power for $1.99. Pretty fly for a white guy. LOL's. Hey guys,
what's up?
Hey, unlimited power. Good to see you. I hear that Vader's consulting firm is hiring. So if you are a fat white guy, send in your application.
There's a large pool of talent out there for
Yeah.
you to pull. Literally.
Literally. And we got Brett Dasovic. Good to see you, Brett. I hope I probably pronounced your last name wrong.
Dasovic.
Dasovic for $5. What was that, Vader?
You want me to read it?
Yes.
I can read it. Brett Dasovic, $5. Thank you, sir. Happy Saturday, Salty Nerds. As a total non sequitur, I rewatched Winter Soldier last night, and it is still the best MCU film. I miss serious dialogue. Agreed. I agree totally.
I saw Brett's tweets on that, and like Winter Soldier was such a surprise because it was the first time that Marvel kind of took themselves like super seriously, and it was more of a political thriller than it was a comic book movie, and it kind of set the stage for like a lot of the stuff that built up to Infinity War and stuff like that. And it's still a great movie to watch. Like it's a really good film.
I wanted to thank Brett, Mr. Brett, real quickly. I was listening to his show yesterday on my way to work, and I had this image of Rebel Wilson sticking her finger up Sacha Baron Cohen's asshole all night long. So thank you, Brett. I appreciate that. And
I thought it was the other way around.
None of you guys get that. Maybe you do. I don't know, but it's still burned in my brain. So thanks.
Vader, I thought it was Sasha doing that to Rebel.
No, he was asking her to put her finger up his ass.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't really believe that story.
So
I think even Sasha has limits.
I don't think he does.
I don't know, man.
I don't think he does.
And also want to give a big shout out to Samuel Schwager for gifting one Salty Nerd Podcast membership. Guys, we are 4 away from hitting our goal. So if anybody out there wants to either subscribe or gift a membership, we just need 4 more of those, and we'll be very happy campers. All right, guys. So we talked about Pirates, and we talked about Boondocks, and let's talk a little bit about Alien, in particular Alien Romulus, because we have first of all, we've gotten the trailer for it, which was a banger of a trailer. It looks just like the Ridley Scott version, but Hollywood Reporter actually has this very in-depth article where they interviewed writer-director Fede Alvarez, who kind of came on the scene with his remake of The Evil Dead. And also he did this great movie called Don't Breathe. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but it's really fucking awesome. And he's the one in charge of Alien Romulus, and link to this article is in the description. But what was interesting about this article is they really clarified that Alien Romulus is going to be a connective movie between the first Ridley Scott Alien and the James Cameron Alien. So you're going to see what happened in between those movies. It's about a space station with a young group of colonizers. And supposedly it basically leads to the situation on the planet that the Space Marines go to in James Cameron's Aliens, that kind of like gives you some background as to like how the xenomorphs got there and all this other stuff. And the cool thing about Fede Alvarez is that he's a very talented horror movie director. And so like the Alien Romulus horror aspect has definitely returned, but he's also kind of combining it with a lot of action, kind of like James Cameron style. There's almost no green screens used in this movie. And so like everything looks very realistic. They got the set design down. They got the alien puppets and people in costume and stuff like that. And it sounds like this could be a return to form for the Alien franchise. So I want to throw this to Brian first and foremost. Brian, what did you think of the trailer we got for Alien Romulus, and do you think this movie is actually going to be any good?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. The trailer looked good. It does feel like I don't know, classic, not classic, but the modern version of what we get for a lot of these like horror movies lately is where it's like this, young girl, running from something evil, then turning around and getting her revenge, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm here for it. That looks good. It looks like what I remember Aliens to be, I'm just hoping that we, remember we saw Sojourner's bush, so whatever her name is, let's get some of this girl's bush at some point. That's all I'm going to say.
When did we see Sigourney Weaver's bush?
And multiple times. She's like weirdly obsessed with showing her bush.
Sean's all like, Sean's all. I don't remember you guys being so dirty.
Yeah, they CGI it up.
So I thought the
All I'm saying-
OnlyFans discussion was going to be the juicy part.
Are we gonna get the shot of
Alien
her
Romulus
in like
was gonna-
the low cut panties trying to fix something while an alien is stalking her in the background? I'm just saying. Let's not puss out. Let's do it right.
All right. Well, Alex, one of your all-time favorite movies is Alien.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you think of the trailer, and what do you think about everything that Fede's talking about with the connective tissue between the first and the second movie?
Man, I'm like Jeremy Renner in what is it, Endgame? Don't give me hope, man. I am so hyped for this. I am so hyped for this. So for people who don't know, maybe hasn't played the game, but there's a game called Alien Isolation that takes place between the first and second movies, and you're following Ripley's daughter. And she's investigating the disappearance of her mother, and it takes place on a space station, and the aliens have taken over. And it kind of has, it sounds like they're taking a couple of aspects of that game into this movie, which is, I'm thumbs up, please do. It was a phenomenal movie. It absolutely nailed the environment and the aesthetic of the first movie. It has an action like the second movie. So if we can get the best of both worlds with that, I'm super positive on that. I love it. Everything that I'm hearing so far sounds amazing. I have no issue with it being a female lead. It's a staple of the franchise at this point to have a badass female lead, as long as they do it right and they don't beat you over the head with freaking The Message, and just have a freaking dope female lead. I'm here for it. Give it to me. It looks freaking awesome. I love the fact that they're going for practical effects instead of CGI. Wonderful. Mm-hmm. Keep doing it. I have no complaints at this moment. I cannot wait to watch it. I'm probably going to replay Alien Isolation just to kind of refresh my memory and see if they maybe pull a couple of aspects from that game into this new movie. I'm really interested. I'm super hyped. Please knock it out of the park.
Just add it to my wish list.
So, Sean, one of the interesting things about this article is that Fede talks about how he's basically embracing every single Alien movie ever made as canon, even like the Prometheus movies, like Alien Covenant and stuff like that, which a lot of people would argue is not a good idea. But he's like, I love all the Aliens movies, and so like our movie is going to incorporate elements from everything that we've seen so far to kind of bring it all together. And he even, screened a director's cut for Ridley Scott and James Cameron, and both Ridley Scott and James Cameron loved it. They gave him a lot of conflicting notes, but apparently they loved it. And so it makes me wonder, okay, how are the audiences and fans going to respond to it? Because obviously, Alien has a very kind of like storied history with fans, where you got the Prometheus movies, which the fans, I think, by and large, didn't quite like. You've got Alien 3, which it's like it wasn't good at the time, but then people have grown to like it over time. You got Alien 4, where it's just like, who the fuck is this French director who's doing this movie? What do you think, number one, about the trailer, and how do you think fans are going to react to this? And do you think that Fede can actually pull off bringing all the Alien movies under one umbrella with his film?
Well, I mean, I assume that quote about pulling everything together, it's just going to be like a subtle line, like someone says, well, the Prometheus disappeared, something like that. They're not going to like pause and start having Ridley Scott ponderous discussions about the existence of man and ontological. Like, it's not going to be that. It's going to be like a reference that says that it exists in an Easter egg. I'm sure that's what it's going to. Because we'll find. Let's back to what we said. But don't give me hope. Don't give me. I'm trying to believe the best in all of this, but for me, Aliens is a top 5 favorite movie of all time. Alien is an A+. It's also fantastic. Alien 3 is my least favorite movie of all time, simply because of the setup for the film in the first 10 minutes. It's like, it's not a terribly made film, but it's like just the ultimate audience betrayal for me. And so I've been disappointed by Alien movies in theaters for, all of my life that I've been going to the movies, which is now over 25 years of going to Alien movies that have disappointed me. I think Fede Alvarez, when I said that name, I went, that's probably the right guy. Because he does these close quarters horror films, whether at a cabin, whether in a blind guy's insane house, with what he's trying to do. Like, he does these intense, claustrophobic horror thrillers. He can do the action bursts in it. And so you can kind of combine the tension of Ridley Scott's film, with the action of James Cameron's film, with a 21st century aesthetic to it. That's what the trailer looked like to me. It felt very much like those films, but with like amped up in certain ways. So like everything that I'm seeing, everything that I'm hearing sounds like everything that I want it to be.
Right.
How do I think that fans will respond? I imagine my fear a little bit is that if it stays too close to like a merger of Alien and Aliens, a group of people will be like, well, that's a little bit too familiar. But a bunch of other people like, finally, you just stuck to what works. Like you don't need to reinvent it. We don't have to pull in a bunch of like pretentious ideas into an Alien prequel movie. We want just fun with xenomorphs and sci-fi horror and action.
Indeed. All right, so
Keep it simple.
going to our consultant on the panel here, Matt Vader.
You gotta stop. It was a joke, man. It was a joke.
So, in terms of this, like, number one, did you like what you saw from the Romulus trailer? And number two, what do you think about like this whole practical effects thing? Because they even went so far as to make models of the space station, the spaceships, and they're just using CGI very lightly to enhance stuff. When they showed the actual, like, director's cuts, they didn't have any CG in them, but people were still like, this movie's like 90% done because they had like the xenomorphs and the sets and all this other stuff. Do you think more movies nowadays should go the practical route?
Jiggle
Yes.
physics.
Jiggle physics. Actually, yes. We were talking a week or so ago about this when it first came out, and we basically just decided they took the best elements from the first movie and the best elements from the second movie, and it made a new movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we kind of want. We want our two favorite Alien movies kind of turned into one. Use that same style. Use those same kind of movie making. And I think that's what we're getting. We love good, scary Alien movies. We all everybody on this panel grew up watching these.
Yep.
And so if there's any franchise out there that's like up there with the Treks and the Wars and all this kind of stuff, that's important. This is one of those franchises. This might be the franchise to me. I love this stuff. And if they can go out there and finally make us an actual good movie that we all can get behind and love and support, then I am all for it. This looks pretty good so far. My lie. And as far as the practical effects and with the light touches, the CGI and stuff, that's how movies to me should be made. We've gotten too used to them just painting a big blotch of bullshit on these green and blue screens that look fake, to be perfectly honest with you. A lot of times, it can be done well, but I don't think CGI was ever meant to replace filmmaking. I always thought of it as what it's supposed to be, which is a tool to enhance the creator's vision of these things, not to just make a cartoon with a couple of humans sitting in front of a blue screen. So yeah, I'm all in for this movie. I'm looking forward to it. I want to watch it. I can't wait to talk about it on the show someday. I'll be there as opening weekend for sure. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I think in the interview, Fede Alvarez said that if you can tell something is CGI, then it shouldn't be used.
Right.
He's like, like if it takes you out of the movie when you see that type of thing, it's not worth having it in the movie. All right. So real quick, guys, just want to give a big shout out to Major Chai Chai for gifting one Salty Nerd Podcast membership. That means that we just need 3 more, guys. Just 3 more memberships before we get our goal for the live stream today. But before we start going down the rabbit hole of memberships, let's talk about another membership platform, such as OnlyFans, and in particular, celebrity OnlyFans. Brian and Matt, I hope your pants are off and you got some tissues nearby with some lotion, something like that. We're going to be talking about some spicy stuff.
Raw dog it.
real quick, but before we actually get into this, so normally when I send out the emails to the panelists for what we're going to be talking about on the show, I just send out like links to the topics. But for this one, I felt like I had to justify why we're talking about this particular thing because it is a little bit salacious, it's a little bit spicy, and it's about actress Drea de Matteo, who was Adriana on The Sopranos, and how she basically has started an OnlyFans, and it has blown up since she started it, and she's making a ton of money just selling non-pornographic spicy pictures of her in like different revealing outfits or doing stuff. And in this podcast that she kind of talked about it on, which is a Barstool Sports podcast called Only Stands, she talks about how guys will commission her, like pay her money to act as Adriana and berate them using the New Jersey accent and stuff like that. It's kind of wild, kind of funny. But I wanted to talk about this not because it's about OnlyFans or anything like that, but it actually kind of speaks to a broader issue that's going on in Hollywood, which is that actors, they're not getting paid as much as they used to. Work is drying up, so there's more competition, especially for these older actresses who maybe can't compete with like the 20-somethings or what have you, in terms of like how they look and stuff like that. And so like a lot of them are really like going through some hard times. In fact, there's a Rolling Stone article that covers this in depth with Drea de Matteo that is linked in the description that I highly recommend everyone check out if you're able to, because basically here's the scenario, right? Drea de Matteo, we know her from Sons of Anarchy, The Sopranos, but Joey, the TV show, the Friends spinoff. And you'd think, oh, she's probably set for life, right? Like she probably has like a lot of money. But it turns out that when Hollywood shut down for the coof, she refused to get vaccinated. She was one of the anti-vaxxers where she was like, I don't want to put that crap in my body. I don't believe in it. And because of that, she actually got blacklisted from getting more work in Hollywood simply because, if you wanted to work on set, you had to be vaxxed, right? And so her work overnight pretty much instantly dried up. She was caring for a family member who had dementia. She was going through a divorce. She has 2 kids. She tried to subsist for a while by, getting a reverse mortgage, like taking loans out against her house. And when she couldn't pay those loans back, the house was in danger of being foreclosed upon. And so she was basically like destitute. Like, she wasn't getting any royalties from The Sopranos. She wasn't getting any royalties from all this other stuff. She literally had $10 in her bank account. Okay. And during lockdown, she had explored doing a podcast on OnlyFans behind a paywall as a way to talk about her beliefs about, the vaccines and controversial topics that weren't very well received in Hollywood at the time. And she was going to do it on OnlyFans just because like she didn't want, it to be public. So like if people wanted to hear her take on it, they could pay for it. So she had been researching that for a while, and in a moment of desperation, she was like, you know what, I'm going to do some spicy pics on OnlyFans. And so within 5 minutes of announcing her OnlyFans account, she made enough money to pay off all her debts that were going to lead to her house getting foreclosed upon. And then within 1 month, she made more money on OnlyFans than she did during her entire run on The Sopranos. And since then, she has continued to do her OnlyFans, and she's actually made enough money to pay off all of her debts and also start a new business, which is a clothing line of streetwear. So like she's now got a second income stream coming in. And what really brought this story to my attention was that Tim Pool did a tweet on X. I don't even know if you can call them tweets anymore. But basically he said, it's nice to see that, if all else fails, you can become a hooker or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. And then Drea de Matteo saw that and basically took him to task for it. And this kind of like brought to my attention, it's like, number one, the fact that we have actresses who have been in major TV shows having to resort to a membership-only platform with a questionable reputation around it is like mind-boggling to me, right? But she's not the only celebrity who's found fame and fortune on OnlyFans. I think the biggest example of this is the Bad Baby, Catch Me Outside girl from Dr. Phil. The minute she turned 18, she went on OnlyFans, opened an OnlyFans account, and within her first year on OnlyFans, she made $52 million.
Jesus.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
What?
What?
Like,
God,
Like,
if I was a chick, I'd be such a whore.
yeah.
I mean, like, it's just easy. It's just easy work.
Wow.
Well, guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but Amaranth, the big Twitch streamer girl, who's also on Kick, she has an OnlyFans. She makes $2 million a month on OnlyFans.
What?
Yeah.
So like, there's definitely.
I worked
a lot of
87
people-
hours last week.
Yeah. But Carmen Electra is on OnlyFans. Denise Richards is on OnlyFans. Even Whitney Cummings. Now, Whitney Cummings, she doesn't do anything spicy. She's just there because she's like, she does like more off-color comedy on the OnlyFans stuff than she does like publicly. But she's still there taking money from fans who like, want to see her do that stuff. I feel like this is a question where like, with the actors' strikes and all this other stuff that happened, where actors were literally having to wait tables in order to make a living. The question I want to ask you guys is OnlyFans like an actual viable route for entertainers who want to go directly to the fans and bypass like the Hollywood system? Is it immoral to do this? Is it tragic that they have to resort to this to actually make money, or is it more empowering for them? There's so much to this story that I want to explore, but I want to start with Sean here. So, Sean, in your opinion,
Congratulations, Sean.
what's the far-reaching implications of this? Do you think that a lot of actresses who maybe have aged out of certain roles or like whatever can be like, okay, I'm going to start an OnlyFans and I'm going to have my fans just pay me to have direct access and create content specifically for them and all that stuff?
I don't know. I think some of this is just OnlyFans has a funny connotation to it, but this is like the oldest story in Hollywood of, go back to the 90s, Drew Barrymore turns 18 and she poses for Playboy and she's in Poison Ivy. And so suddenly the little girl gets her name back in the headlines. And Alyssa Milano, the cute little girl from Who's the Boss, does a series of erotic thrillers throughout the 90s. The number of former actresses from Buffy the Vampire Slayer that did Playboy and the Zeros once that show ended. This isn't like new. Like, wait a minute, sex sells? Men want to see naked women? Like, this isn't new. It's just the new version of it that adds a social media component that it plays a little bit different because there's fan control. Like, as soon as you have this thing where like, yeah, I mean, there's dudes that want her to like yell at her in that voice, like, it adds this other element to it that feels more like we're crossing that line from I'm taking pictures in a controlled environment to I'm creating this content for a specific person that just has a different vibe to it. But the basic idea of it, this has been around for a long time. Just we haven't normalized OnlyFans yet. That seems like the sort of thing that society will do in the near enough future. But like it's when it starts to become something like, I don't know. I think there's that big difference is like as soon as you use that language of it's designed for a person, they used to get that phone sex hotline flavor to it that is like it has a different vibe to it. But I don't know, like you said, there's a lot of different factors into it. Like I'm just looking at her Wikipedia page and she has no shortage of credits going back 25 years and there's a bit of a gap. I mean, there's not even that much of a gap when COVID happened. There's still stuff coming out in those years. So it kind of raises a few questions of why was she, like, what was she doing with her money for the 20 years before that she had nothing saved up, that she wasn't ready for when things dried up for a window. Like, it's tough to immediately go, oh, man, that's rough that she had that. Wait a minute. How many acting credits do you have? This is like 80 acting credits in 20 years, and you didn't have any money? And there's some things she says in there, like the headline is supposed to be very pop out at you that actress made more on OnlyFans in a month than she did in her entire time on Sopranos. Your first reaction to that is utter shock until you stop and think about it. She has her career because of Sopranos. She made all the money on OnlyFans because she was on Sopranos, so you can have that headline 25 years later. She was a no-name when she was hired, 99 or whatever, paid at a low rate on a show that was an experiment. They didn't know that it was going to stand the test of time. They didn't know that it was going to work, that we'd still be talking about it as one of the great shows of television. And so it's a little bit of it's an interesting headline. it catches your attention, but it's a little bit dishonest to like present it as if we're shocked by that. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things to unpack there, but I'm come from church world, so I'm not going to endorse OnlyFans as a viable option, but that's not the direction I'm going to go for anyone. But I don't think that's healthy for anyone on either sides of that equation. But anyway.
Well, that's true, and Sean, you made a really good point about how actors, like, they get naked on screen, they do sexual stuff on screen for Hollywood movies, and yet when they go to something like OnlyFans and they do what essentially they would do for like a major Hollywood movie, just for private access, they get called whores and hookers and stuff like that. And I want to throw this to. Go ahead.
Just one like Anne Hathaway. Her transition into making grown-up movies was she goes from Princess Diaries and like Ella Enchanted, and then she shows her boobs in a couple of movies, and now she's like, let's give her Oscar roles. Like that's an actual path to like prestige films and things like that. In this context, it's like celebrated, like, well, she's so bold. If you do it on OnlyFans, it's like that discrepancy there is so peculiar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Brian, we were joking a little bit earlier about Swordfish, where the big story behind Swordfish was that it was going to be the first movie where Halle Berry shows her breasts on screen, and she basically got paid $10 million a boob. She got paid $20 million to like be in that movie to show her boobs off. And like, so like with that, everyone like was celebrating it. It's like, oh, she's so empowered that she can show her titties on screen. She's making so much money doing it. And yet, if she were to do that on OnlyFans, she'd be derided for it. What do you think about that discrepancy?
I mean, listen, I think that Halle Berry is brave, and I'm glad that she is in control of her body. And no, for real. Yeah, there is a discrepancy. Like Hollywood is just it's just the oldest form of work, and we dress it up and we give it awards, but in reality, it's just as degenerate as OnlyFans in a lot of places and a lot of movies, and but OnlyFans is obviously has that connotation where it's just straight up whoredom. I'm sorry. So is Hollywood. So many movies are just straight degenerate. Where I mean, how many actors? The Olsen twins. The Olsen twins. There was a website with a countdown to their 18 years old birthday. Remember that? Look, bro, I think I was in my 20s, and I was like, I don't know, that's too much, guys. But it was celebrated. It was, they're 18. It's time to put them in porn. You're like, what are you talking about? That's so degenerate and gross. And I'm not a prude at all. I have no problem with jiggle physics and dragons and boobies. But let's not act like it's any different. Hollywood is just as gross and degenerate as OnlyFans. The only difference is one gets awards and one doesn't.
Well, Alex, there is a moral component to this where basically, like, you have people online calling Drea de Matteo, a whore or a prostitute or a hooker because she's like, quote unquote, selling herself or degrading herself on OnlyFans in order to make money. And a lot of people, there's this narrative, especially on the right-leaning YouTube sphere, about how OnlyFans destroys people's lives. It's girls go on OnlyFans hoping to make a lot of money, and they end up regretting it, and it's something they can never recover from. It's kind of like, the old story of like, oh, I did porn when I was in my teens and I needed the money or something like that, and now I'm running for political office and it's come back to haunt me or something along those lines. What do you think about the moral difference between an actress who maybe can do like a sex scene or something like that in a movie, but she can't post racy photos for money on a private platform?
I think it's super hypocritical for people to be like, saying how awesome it is that what's her face, Catwoman chick, what's her name again?
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry. Oh my gosh, she showed her tits in this movie. I'm gonna go buy tickets to go see that movie. And then I mean, this is a obviously a long time ago, but I'm sure there's more recent examples of this. Like if Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Oh, Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, well, Margot Robbie and Wolf of Wall Street, freaking smoking hot in that movie. We all bought tickets to go see that movie, not because of her, but it's a nice little. And we're all talking about, add jiggle physics in all these movies so we can buy
I gotta
tickets.
be honest, I rewatched it for that reason.
There's nothing. We have no ground to stand on when we're like, oh, how dare you do, how dare you do OnlyFans? I don't see a difference between getting paid to do it in one avenue
I got
and,
the papers.
and to pay for a ticket for a video or a picture in another avenue. It's the same end result. You pay money to see some chick naked. That's all it is. I think OnlyFans is probably a net negative for society. But things like this has been happening since the beginning of time. There's ancient Greeks used to have tapestries of naked chicks. Like who are we to say anything about it? It is what it is. I did want to bring up, I looked up real quick how much she made. Now, according to Google, I guess, for the first season, she only made $500 per episode. But over the course of her entire career as the character in Sopranos, I'm seeing upwards of $15 million by the time she was said and done on Sopranos. So I have a real big question about where all that money went. $15 million is a ton of money. So why does she have $10 in her bank account? Either she needs a better accountant or she needs a better agent to get her better work.
A lot of these people live way above their means. I know. I have friends in Hollywood who are always like a paycheck away from disaster, and you're like, how, bro? Like you were just in, Miss Daisy or whatever. How are you broke already? I don't get it. Sorry.
I totally get it.
I want
$8 a gallon for gas.
I want to hop in here real quick, Alex, because agents and managers, that's about 25% of what you make right there. Publicist, that's another one. She went through a divorce, so her husband probably got some money, but she was also taking care of a family member who had dementia. And so the cost for the care of that was very big. And she also had 2 children that she was supporting. So, like $15 million, you think that's so much money. But when you haven't been working, when your royalty checks dry up, and you're living off of savings, eventually that stuff runs out. And she literally had to take out a loan on her house in order to just get by and turn to OnlyFans as a last resort. So even though it sounds like these actors make a lot of money, their representation and their entourage and stuff like that, they just
for sure. I'm not trying to pretend that I know her ins and outs of her finances. I brought it up as an interesting fact, and that's just from Sopranos. I mean, she's done other roles and stuff like that. But to go back to the OnlyFans thing, it seems like an easy out, as opposed to a male actor probably can't do the same thing.
No,
Kevin Sorbo is not out there on OnlyFans trying to drum up money because his Hercules money is not going. He can team up. He can start his own company. He can team up with Angel Studios. Put me back on the screen, Kadish. I'm not done talking.
No. Real quick. No. Just okay, fine.
Thank you, Jesus. These actors. There's other avenues. We have other studios now. Daily Wire's making movies. There's other avenues you can go to. I'm not dogging her for doing it. I mean, it's whatever she wants to do.
Daily Wire's not making movies, bro. They're buying them.
You know what I mean, though. They're trying to get into the space of providing this separate avenue for these actors and stuff like that, and creating their own content. So I feel like there's a lot of different ways to do this. She turned to OnlyFans because it was this is an interesting option. Let me explore how much money I can make doing this. It worked out for her. Great. I don't think every actor in this situation is going to be able to do that. I do feel for her with the COVID thing. If she's holding fast to her opinions on that, great. More power to her. I have nothing against this lady. Nope. I just think the whole situation is kind of interesting. It's like, oh, okay, that's the avenue she chose. Okay, who the hell am I to say anything about it? Go for it.
All right, real quick, I wanted to make my point, which is the showrunner of the X-Men '97 cartoon show had an OnlyFans, which was a thirst trap. He would show shirtless pictures of his muscles, and apparently he made quite a bit of money doing that.
Oh,
so
good.
I think men can do OnlyFans just as well as women can.
Okay,
did you hear that, Vader?
So that's what we're doing next. Let's start with Batman Consulting OnlyFans.
That guy has a completely different demographic than what we're going for.
I mean, I don't see why we
Completely
can't
different
go for any demographic. What's the problem?
You guys can absolutely do it. I guarantee you, there's people out there that would pay $2 a picture to see you guys shirtless.
We'll make Alex our
Yeah.
front man though. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's got the abs. So
Nice.
I wish.
Is it
Oh,
just
funny.
like do they need shirtless or do they want undergut? You know, with the belly. With the belly.
I can do both. I shave my chest, so I look like I'm very smooth.
Why'd you say undergut? That just sounds so gross.
Well, Vader's got his feet too. We can't forget about the feet.
Oh, we got his feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're really winning for Sean. You want in on this, bro?
I would love to be in on this.
Yes.
Okay.
This sounds amazing.
We're doing it.
We could do it.
2025 calendar coming out. Fat Boy Gamers calendar.
No,
White Fat Boy Gamers. The undergut shots.
There's a lot of weirdos out there that'll pay money for some weird stuff, man.
That's true.
The internet is full of weird things.
When I first opened my first Patreon, there was this guy who offered Shane $100 to take a candid shot of me in my underwear.
Yeah, man.
Shane considered it.
I wish you would have said yes to my offer.
Listen,
There needs to be more George Costanzas out there. You know what I mean?
I need to interject here because I need to share something with you guys that is literally going to get all the fat white boy gamers out there going crazy over Miss De Matteo. It is this shot that she has up on her Instagram right now. Look at that bowl of pasta. Look at that. That is an amazing bowl of rigatoni right there. She's beautiful. But look at that bowl of pasta, guys. It's the rigatoni. The sauce is on every single piece.
Bro, zoom in on that pasta, bro. Zoom in on that pasta.
It is just I saw this picture and I'm like, oh yeah, pasta, and there's some little bit of cleavage right in there.
There's a woman in that photo.
there is a hot chick in there.
Did you pay $2 to see that photo, Vader?
Dude, I would
put some Parmesan on that shit.
I would give her $2. I want this. I want a poster of this hanging on my wall.
Signed.
With signed poster, and we got to get her in the studio.
Lord
It's like,
jeez.
will you please sign this picture of you and your pasta? That is just an amazing picture. I'm getting hungry watching it right now. I want to go get some Italian
Adriana,
food.
put some more gravy on that pasta.
Pour it on there slower for me.
Pour it on slow, baby.
I mean, with this,
Sprinkle the Parmesan.
when I think of Adriana, this is the shot that I have in my head from now on. Adriana from The Sopranos with a bowl of pasta, a bowl of rigatoni. Just needs a little bit of a ricotta cheese on there, and some Parmesan. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go.
No, I can't have her feed her to me. She won't do it fast enough.
Oh. Ooh, that picture.
Oh man.
Right. So Vader, one of the big things that she's been accused of is granny porn. Because she's a little bit older, but you're all about the granny porn, right? So
hell yeah, man.
Do you support this endeavor?
I do support this endeavor. Anything she can do to get her awesomeness out there, she might as well do it for sure, 100%. She made some calculated decisions into going into doing this. You know, she knew she had a little bit of a fan base out there, all those mob girlfriend guys, that all those guys out there that want that quintessential stereotypical mob wife girlfriend, which is what she is. We all look at her when we think of something like that. And I'm happy for her. I'm glad she was able to go to OnlyFans and get her act back together, because apparently she was having some money issues, and she did it with the blessing of her kids and her family, and she knew how to take advantage of it. Now, is there a difference between her and some girl who turns 18 years old and wants to go to OnlyFans because they don't know how to do anything else? I feel like there might be.
There is
but
a
at
difference.
the same, it's like, I raise daughters. I don't want my daughters to be on OnlyFans.
Of course not.
But if my daughter's 50 years old and she's not doing porn, she's just putting, pictures of her in a bustier with full of fucking pasta on Instagram, then
You know what?
go
I ain't got a
on,
problem with that.
do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
I have no
you know?
issue with that
I got
whatsoever.
no problem at all.
Dad, I bought you this house because I took pictures of me with pasta.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds great.
That's great, baby.
Did you do it with the rigatoni or the macaroni?
Love
Are you
it.
gonna
Awesome.
are you gonna do some spaghetti pictures? Are you gonna do it with the white sauce or the red sauce? You know, which one are you gonna do?
I can help you make the food, baby.
Right. So yeah, I fully support her, and I think I'm in love again.
Buy you a Ferrari.
You know, Vader, what if she started a YouTube channel where she actually ate the pasta?
Oh god,
No,
it'd be over. She'd make $1 billion.
Yeah, it's over. It's easy.
Oh,
It's
man.
pasta with Adriana. Let's go. Let's do it.
But
think she's
poor
actually-
chick would, in order to keep her figure though, she'd be having to work
Bro.
out after every video. She'd have to work out for like 7 hours.
Yeah. What if she started like a cooking YouTube channel where she just made dishes and
I'd watch it every day.
That's what I'm saying.
I-
Like,
And, she made dishes and yelled at the audience.
Actually, Brian, in the article, it says that she's so skinny that she has to carb load before each photo shoot just to look healthier for the
whoa,
photos.
whoa.
So she doesn't even need to work out afterwards.
Must be nice.
You know, yeah.
Must be nice. Oh, I'm
Everybody
extremely jealous of her right now, dude.
everybody needs that hot mobster girlfriend that turns into that crazy mobster wife that cooks pasta for you when they get old. That's just what they need. That's what it is.
Imagine a
Okay.
YouTube video where she's cooking pasta and yelling at the camera. No, what are you even doing here? Where are the super chats?
Right.
Seriously though, like if she started a legitimate YouTube channel and she just started like cooking, like she's like, making a different dish every day, puts those videos out. Do you think she would make enough money on ad revenue?
Oh,
Yeah,
she's
Like,
making a
and
ton of
super
money.
chats? I mean,
100%.
100%.
yeah,
Live
There's-
cooking, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, especially if she did it as Adriana with like
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, as that character making pasta and doing
Yeah,
like
and
mob
she can
stuff.
promote her
And then-
OnlyFans at the end of every show.
And she could have guests from the Sopranos shows join her on her YouTube channel to help make this dish. What do you? There's 1.5 million ways
Yeah.
this lady can make money. A
Yeah,
million.
Well, even like to that point, you think like the Office ladies. They're literally just
Yeah.
watching episodes of their show and saying
Yes.
what happened, making killing doing it.
Killing it.
Michael Rosenbaum's interviewing all of his friends. Like this is you should start a podcast as a celebrity. Have your celebrity friends on. Whether to do the Sopranos ladies. Like we could picture
Yeah.
1,000 ideas that it's just a podcast where she
Yeah.
could make money or a YouTube channel.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, Sean, but AJ and the girl who played the daughter, I forget her name, they have a podcast together. And I think Drea is going to make an appearance on that pretty soon. But there's also talk about her doing her own podcast like once more, because, you know, like she was thinking about doing that, you know, during the lockdowns. And now that she's independently wealthy, you know, she doesn't care about getting jobs in Hollywood, and so like she's like, you know what, I might want to do a podcast where I you know, just let it all hang out. Alex, you know, what do you think of that? Do you think that, you know, there's that old joke, what do you call two actors in a room, a podcast?
Right.
Do you think that she should leverage this into podcast fame and fortune?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Start a podcast, get your friends on there, dump some tea about the Sopranos behind the scenes stuff. Talk about the absolute hellhole that is Hollywood legacy, you know, studios and execs and all that stuff. Like, yeah, man, put all of that stuff out there. That's what everybody's doing. Anybody who, like, Gina Carano should do the same thing. She started a podcast about how Disney works behind the scenes. She'd make $1 billion.
Can you imagine a Gina Carano, not a Gina Carano OnlyFans with not like slutty pictures?
Just her working out and doing UFC fights.
Yeah, you know, Gina Carano would make $1 million a month doing OnlyFans,
No,
and
absolutely.
it wouldn't have to be dirty. So
Exactly. Yeah. No, this lady needs to. She can do whatever she wants, but there's 1 billion different ways to do it besides OnlyFans. Somebody mentioned OnlyFans takes less time. Yes, that's literally. I think it's just the easier option for people like this. Is like, yeah, well, I'll just do OnlyFans and people will pay me, as opposed to like producing a podcast and putting it out there and doing search.
I think I'm going to start one this week.
You should.
Oh,
I'm considering it.
We have an OnlyFans for the Batman statue. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I nobody
too.
wants to see. But this one's gonna be about my whiskers, and
There you
I'm
go.
gonna do beard growth things. Grew a quarter inch this month. Can you
Just-
tell the difference?
Just
Yeah,
pluck one and mail it to people for $100 a pop.
that's right.
Yeah, but Vader, you make a good point. Like OnlyFans doesn't have to be spicy or pornographic or anything like that. In fact, Whitney Cummings is a good example of that, where she just does more off-color, stuff on her OnlyFans than she does like in public. And so like there's definitely like room on OnlyFans where it's like it's gotten a reputation for being pornographic, but you can literally just do anything. It's just like a paywall. It's almost like Patreon in a way. So that could be like a great way for other celebrities to kind of like kind of cash in on their fan base and offer like direct access, like Q&As or like whatever the case may be. Brian, do you think that there's any future for OnlyFans in terms of like celebrities getting on there, often kind of similar to Cameo, where they're just like this is direct access for the fans?
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, that it wasn't that the main purpose of OnlyFans initially. It wasn't. It wasn't for porn. Originally, it was supposed to be like a place for a paywall place for people to create content. It wasn't specifically adult related content. And then, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I guess I think it was like Snapchat or Instagram or something. They like lost premium features. They lost some ability to do something, and a couple of those famous spicy influencers moved over to OnlyFans, and then the floodgates opened up. And that's what it's become now. OnlyFans is basically like it is for that. But the original purpose was not for pure pornography. They didn't have any rules, so that's what it became. Which is pretty much how the internet works. When there's no moderation or rules, like it just becomes porn. Like that, right? Like go to 4chan or whatever. Like the second there's no one around, it's like, all right, let's post the most offensive, crazy porn we can. So yeah, it's OnlyFans.
Well, also there was a while there where basically OnlyFans was trying to get us another round of funding for an investment, and they basically outlawed like nudity on the platform.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I was like, well, you just ended your business, guys. Good job.
Like yeah. That's basically what everyone said, and they actually had to reverse that because they were like, oh, like our business model is entirely dependent on people showing their naughty bits. But it is kind of funny that you can use OnlyFans for other stuff, but the stigma of that it's almost like what happened to Sean. I don't know if you remember Tumblr. Where basically like Tumblr became like like a free porn site essentially, and when they got bought out by Yahoo's like, oh, we're going to get rid of this thing that everyone uses us for,
and then it ended.
And then Tumblr lost all of its value, and Yahoo was just like, oh, I guess that was a bad investment.
Yeah, like you removed the only reason to be there.
Yeah,
not that I was there. I'm just saying.
Yeah, good old Tumblr blogs. They had a couple good movie blogs on there, but got run over by pornography. Yeah, guys, if you want to check out Drea de Matteo's OnlyFans, do so at your own risk. I'm sure she could use some of the money. But I think that we've talked about this topic enough. Unless, Vader, you have anything that you want to add before we move on?
More sauce on the pasta, man.
Yeah. Oh, can we get jiggle physics on the pasta?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. So speaking of successes, we got to talk a little bit about Star Trek and how they're saying that Star Trek Discovery is a huge success.
Huge. Hasn't made a penny, but it's a huge success.
So basically, a Roddenberry exec by the name of, let's see if I can find his name in here. I forget, but basically
Trevor Roth.
Trevor Roth, thank you. So he's like the second in command at Roddenberry Productions. And he basically came out at a film festival recently and said, everyone at Paramount looks at Star Trek Discovery as a huge success. And do you guys know why the reasoning behind his declaration of this. It's because Star Trek Discovery had 5 seasons. And it's like not since what do you call it? Voyager has a Star Trek show gone 5 seasons.
Wait. That's only one show.
Yeah.
You're talking about Enterprise. Not since Voyager. So you had
Right.
Voyager,
Well, 5
Enterprise,
seasons.
Right.
Star Trek
Enterprise
Discovery.
went 4 seasons, correct?
Right. So we skipped one show. That's the huge success. That's the only metric you have.
Listen, here's the thing though. This
The fuck?
is five seasons of 10 episodes each. That's 2 seasons of a normal
Right.
old Star Trek
Yeah,
show.
that's no. That's
Less
one
than 2
season
seasons.
of Enterprise. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, you're right. It's 2 seasons of Enterprise. So technically, who's had more seasons?
But
Who's had
guys,
more episodes?
I want to read you this gentleman's quote. So he says, I think there's probably a lot of things that I don't even understand that drive the decision to cancel Discovery. I think that we look at Discovery as a huge success. 5 seasons in the streaming world of today is actually a really strong showing. And this is the one that really began the new iterations of Star Trek. Discovery was the one who sort of paved the way for this next generation, if you will, of stuff coming out there. So it is bittersweet because it was the first, and it was on its shoulders that so many other shows stood or stand. And the people involved in Discovery, from Sonequa to Doug to everyone, they are just such wonderful people and have truly become like family. It's incredible to see how the dynamics have gotten them to be such a close-knit group and how they truly care about each other on screen and off. Now, Brian.
Yeah.
So you've gotten some sneak peeks at Discovery season 5, the final season.
Yeah,
But
I watched it.
on this show in particular, and I kind of wish Tom Connors was here to chime in on this. We've been saying since season 1 of Discovery that it was only going to last 5 seasons, and the reason for that is because the amount of money that Netflix shilled out to CBS to get the international rights for Star Trek Discovery equated to about 5 seasons worth of money. And so like as soon as that Netflix money ran out, we were saying like, okay, like they're not going to renew Discovery. And we were proven right. Because like even the cast and crew, like they were like surprised that after season 5, the show got canceled. And it's like, oh, weren't you watching our YouTube channel? Because we've been saying that like as soon as the money runs out, the show is dead. Right. And to say that this show inspired the next crop of Star Trek isn't the compliment I think this guy thinks it is.
No.
Why don't you give us your insights on Discovery, the final season, and whether or not people at Paramount actually think that this is a huge success?
Yeah, so I did watch season 5, and it is the best season so far of Discovery, but that's not saying much. It's definitely better than the previous 4 seasons. It looks like they try to have more fun and try less with the crying and the crying and the crying. But there still is a little bit of crying. But they did try more. There's a mystery box, and there's like something to solve, and they go out of their way to and I'm not gonna, no spoilers, but they go out of their way to ruin a mystery that was brought up, since since TOS. Like you can connect this mystery that they're looking for to TOS and TNG, if you do it right, and they're pretty much solving that mystery. I'm trying to be no spoilers.
You don't have to spoil anything right now.
It's just not very good. It's not good Star Trek. It feels like they're trying to make it better. But it still has like all kinds of logic issues. I did a live stream with RMB about this, and one of the funniest things in like the very first episode, there's like 3 or 4 ridiculous, absurd things that happen that break the laws of physics in every way. And it feels like it's almost like Star Wars, but without lightsabers.
Does Burnham go on the outside of the ship and fight another ship with a lightsaber?
Yeah, you saw the stream. No, yeah. So I'm sorry. Little spoiler here. She is She gets blown out into space, and her Iron Man suit just fucking forms around her, right?
No, wait. I was talking about, does she pull an Ahsoka and have a sword fight on the outside of her spaceship?
No, there's no sword fight, but she does something like that. Literally, her Iron Man nanosuit forms around her instantly, and she flies to like an enemy vessel. She jumps on the hull. She activate grab boots. It sticks to the hull. The ship goes into warp with her on the outside of the ship. It's in warp. It's in actual warp. And another ship is behind it, one of her guys, and they're trying to tractor the thing out of warp, and they're arguing about maybe it can hurt the people inside if he doesn't end his tractor beam or whatever. It's like, oh, the warp bubble's gonna it's gonna disintegrate. It's gonna destabilize. You need to stop your tractor beam. It destabilizes anyways, and she's fine.
Great, Brian, you got to stop. I have a question. And
that's not even the worst thing. It's not even the worst part.
By the end of this season, am I going to actually remember any of the people's names on the crew aside from Michael Burnham?
Oh, you will 100% remember at least two people.
I'll tell you that right now. Single member of this crew after 4 seasons. Don't know any other names.
And you're completely right, but there are 2 characters that you will 100% remember. There's good things about this season. I'm sorry to say, I'm the biggest critic. There is a couple pretty good things about this season, and you're wondering, like, if this was like season 2, whatever, you would even think maybe they can pull up out of that tailspin and like give you something that's at least a little, more entertaining. But it's the last season. You're thinking like the last season they finally sort of found a way around a lot of the crying and emotional stuff. But it's still there. There's still stuff there, but it's less involved and it's more character driven. And some of the new characters are actually interesting, to be honest. And the mystery's interesting, to be fair. It is.
They're introducing new characters in the last season. It's awesome.
Yes, they are. And one of the new characters is actually pretty great. But you're gonna see immediately what they do to that character.
Does the cat play a role?
I think the cat's in a flashback.
Oh, okay.
That's it. You don't really see him.
Okay, so
not really.
Okay. I'm really looking forward to the new episodes of Lower Decks. It is the best Star Trek that's out there right now. So
yeah.
I don't really, are they binge? Is this a binge show or is it a?
No, Discovery. If you watch it per week, you're gonna lose your mind.
All right. Well, I'm gonna wait for 3 months and then I'll
watch the entire thing because like there are parts that they just assume like. So I had to binge watch it because that's how I got it. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, if I had to watch this the next day, I wouldn't remember who this person was because it's a mystery. But they focus on the wrong stuff in most of the episodes because that's what Discovery does. They focus on the wrong stuff. You have to really, in order to get any entertainment value out of this, in my opinion, you watch it all in one shot and you focus on the mystery and the new characters and you try to just sort of shut your brain off whenever Michael speaks.
Does Captain Cisco come back in the last episode from the wormhole and save the universe?
That's a spoiler. I can't reveal that.
Okay. All right.
All right. We got to move on. So I want to throw this to Sean because Sean, this idea that Discovery is a huge success for Paramount goes a little bit counter to these stories where we see that Paramount Global has been downgraded to junk status for their debt rating. And what this means for those of you who aren't familiar with the bond ratings and stuff like that is basically Paramount doesn't have enough money to cover its debt. And so its ability to borrow money, its ability to basically spend money is greatly impaired by this, this rating. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that, broadcast media is dying. And so like what was once their cash cow, which was CBS and ad revenue and stuff like that, is drying up and they don't have a good means to replace it because they lost $500 million on their Paramount Plus streaming service. And they've been spending a lot of money on these on content, particularly Taylor Sheridan type stuff. And the fact that, one of their golden gooses has always historically been Star Trek. And Discovery, was financed entirely by Netflix. So when that money run out, of course, they're not going to renew it because it's too expensive. But the big thing here is that basically Paramount looks like it's going to be on the chopping block to be sold to another company, possibly Warner Brothers or something like that. So we're going to see another big studio merger pretty soon. If not, they're going to start selling off stuff for scrap, which basically means that Star Trek could end up at a brand new home. So
can Elon Musk buy Star Trek? That would be great.
Maybe, I don't know. but Sean, I wanted to get your take on this. Like, what do you think about the health of Paramount Global and how that might impact Star Trek going forward?
Well, I mean, it just feels like such a disingenuous statement. Like, you don't want to throw your own show under the bus, but who's still watching Discovery that's not just hate watching it? I mean, they came up with an idea for a Star Trek show that was so blatantly not for Star Trek fans. And then, I mean, then the second season, they tried to reinvent it. And then the third season, they send them 1,000 years in the future. Like, that just feels like the ultimate example of a show being like, oh, crap, what have we done? Like, we're screwing everything up, making everyone mad. Let's just go 1,000 years in the future so we can't screw the stuff up. It's like the most insane show that can't figure out how to win, but they can't admit that, so they just keep going. Even what you said about that you predicted years ago that the Netflix money would get them through 5 seasons, you go, right, like how did it keep going? After, like, no one, I don't know, there's no buzz on the internet, there's no discussion at all about this show. People talk about Picard season 3, people talk about Strange World, Lower Decks. No one talks about Discovery because no one's watching it. And so the fact that they kept going to me was peculiar, and you've kind of answered how that's happening. But I mean, that's kind of been my question. Like, how can this be sustainable for Paramount to keep throwing money at so many different things? Like, to the Star Trek branch, that they're literally just throwing anything at the wall, seeing what sticks, and it's like, oh, okay, this one's kind of working over here, but it can't possibly be profitable. Like, I've been listening to the oral history of Star Trek the last couple weeks or a couple months, and like they were constantly worried about ratings and profitability, even when they had millions and millions of viewers. And the viewership of Discovery, I doubt it can't even be 1 million people. Like, it's on an unpopular streaming service, and it's only had diminishing returns. So, I mean, the fact that Paramount's in trouble with a lot of this stuff is not remotely surprising to me. I mean, Picard season 3 is the only one that seemed to have actually gotten excitement from people. But I can think of, like, my sister seems like the ultimate example of a true Star Trek, like, read every book that's ever been put out there, loves everything classic Star Trek. We used to do weekly reviews of Discovery the first 2 seasons, and she just so hard threw in the towel, like, I'm not watching any of this crap anymore. This is not Star Trek. And I haven't even tried to convince her to watch Star Trek season 3 or Picard season 3, because it's just like such like a just heart crushing disappointment of all of what this stuff has been.
Yeah.
I feel bad for people who channels are based on nothing but Star Trek anymore. It's just so hard to mine content, I think.
Oh yeah.
Out of the stuff that they're making. Right,
Tell me
Brian?
about it.
well, Vader, speaking of that, there might be some hope for those channels, because we got news that Star Trek 4 has a new screenwriter, and Paramount's actually like very much dedicated to finally getting Star Trek 4 off the ground. This is going to be the last movie, they say, with the J.J. Abrams cast. So after this movie, Bad Robot's going to be stepping back from the Star Trek franchise for good. And a lot of people are also talking about doing a second Star Trek movie that is an origin story for the entire franchise. And so they're basically going back to, basically reboot everything once more. But do you think, we've had a lot of false starts for Star Trek 4. It's taken a long time to get it going for some reason. Do you think that if Paramount can get a Star Trek 4 off the ground and then start from scratch, that people might come back to the franchise?
No, not at all. Personally, I enjoy these Bad Robot movies more than pretty much anything that's come out of the Kurtzman era of Star Trek, with the exception of course, Picard season 3. They're not Star Trek. They're just action movies. set in this weird alternate Star Trek timeline, and that's fine. I enjoy them for what they are. You know, they're action movies. They're not Star Trek. Do I want to see a fourth one? Don't care. I really don't care. Will I go watch it if it comes out? Probably, just because I've seen the other ones. But if this thing never happened, it wouldn't matter to me at all. Would not matter to me at all. I don't think it has any effect on the overall popularity of the Star Trek franchise. I consider it a completely different thing. And, you know, just it is what it is. You know, I'm happy to go watch it. But like I said, if it never happens, couldn't care less. So,
well, you know who does care is our good friend Alex, the salty nerd.
I don't
Alex,
think he does.
We were talking the other day about how on our Patreon we actually did the first half of the original series season 1, where we would all sat down, we would watch and react to the episodes as they played out. Jude had never seen any of them before, and we just had a blast watching those things and recording our comments and stuff like that. And you've actually been kind of lobbying. It's like, hey, let's do that again. And Vader and I are like, no one cares about Star Trek, dude. Nobody wants to watch those things. Even the good Star Trek people are just like, oh, like it's too heartbreaking to watch because the new stuff is so bad. So do you think, Alex, Star Trek is a dead franchise? Have we reached the apathy phase and nothing can bring it back? Or is there still hope?
No, I think if Terry Matalas in season 3 of Picard taught us anything, is that it only takes 1 or 2 really good shows to bring us old school fans back into the swing of things. Like, we were hyped for that show. Like, season 3 got everybody talking. We were excited about the potential for a spin-off show with that new crew. Was it Star Trek? Brian, what was it? Star Trek Legacy or
Star Trek Legacy.
Yeah, Star Trek Legacy. Like, if that was ever going to happen, we'd all jump on the bandwagon. But of course, because the people with the egos at Paramount, they were like, no, it's too popular. The fans love it and they hate our shows, so we're not going to make it. It's just ass backwards idiocy. I don't think it's dead. I still watch it. I still watch TNG and Voyager. It's on my. I'm looking at my Paramount account right now. The 3 most watched shows on my account: Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Next Generation, and some of the other iterations of that, like the Enterprise and stuff. So I still like Star Trek, and I love sitting down with you guys and watching the original show with Jude, who had never seen it before, because her comments were hilarious, and that show's got that charm to it. And you got, classic Captain Kirk. Like, I don't think it's dead. I think it's just in this weird place right now where most other franchises are, especially coming from Disney and stuff like that. We're just like, man, we just really wish Star Wars was better. It would take a couple of movies now. They've burnt us out, but a couple of good movies and some new management, and we'd be right back in the swing of things.
Well, you know what's funny is that so Paramount Plus, what they did to kind of fudge the numbers is they merged with their Showtime subscription numbers to kind of like like pump up like how many actual subscribers they have. But we've seen like there's no good Showtime original series. They kind of ran Dexter into the ground. The Halo adaptation has been an abomination. Even season 2, like it started off with like a little bit of promise, and then it quickly they're like, oh no, we're just going to keep crapping all over the fans and everything the fans want. And and with Star Trek Legacy, like fans were literally saying like, yes, give us this, and Paramount was like, no.
Yeah,
and it's like, do they hate money? So yes. I want to throw this out to the panel. What is Paramount's problem? Why do they not listen to the fans? And is that a reason why they're in such financial difficulties right now? Just anyone feel free to chime in.
I don't know. I think it's ego. And it's this new DEI, like the message, the wokeness that has infested these companies. They refuse to cater to the fan base, which is what you're looking at right now. It's like 5 dudes with beards who just like Star Trek. They're like, no, they literally hate us. They're like, no, I don't want to make what you want. I want to make what these other people want.
But these suck.
But these other people don't buy tickets and don't watch TV shows, so it doesn't make any sense.
But they virtue signal on Twitter all day long.
Yeah, all day long. They'll hate you if you don't like Star Trek Discovery. Their fan base will hate you, but they don't watch the show. So
yeah, they don't actually watch it.
Yeah. Even at the Star Trek conventions, it's like there's no hype for Discovery. Like nobody cares.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you see somebody walking by in one of those like workout disco shirts, where it says disco,
Yeah.
and and everyone is keeping like it's like a 10-foot bubble around that person because no one really cares about it. Never, I don't want to engage with this person.
Yeah.
I mean, I think part of it is the complexity of how do you make something that is true to the classic Star Trek that traditional fans have liked, that's also an on-ramp, where you have an aging fan base and you have this big gap where you didn't have new stuff to get new people on board, and then they get into overthinking mode of what that looks like. And there's no one that is the champion of Roddenberry's vision or anything like that. And so you just have the wrong people coming in and they're like, let's make Star Trek like Game of Thrones. And she gets season 1 of Discovery that's like, what is this? Have you ever seen Star Trek before? But they're trying to like attract old fans in the dumbest way possible. Like Michael Burnham is Spock's sister. And everyone's like, are you insane? These are just terrible ideas. And so it's like all the wrong people in the room. And I can see the hard balance. So like I said, I was listening to the oral history, and at the end of Enterprise, they realized that this is just such a dense world that it's tough to get into it when you have 700 episodes of lore. So we need to do a reset. And you can see why they did 2009 and why they turned it into an action movie to make it like an on-ramp. But instead of using that as a new springboard of like, okay, how do we now dial it back from just blockbuster action movie to true to classic Star Trek, exploring, allegorical storytelling on a weekly basis? How could we launch off JJ to do that? They got lost in all of it. And I just think they didn't know what to do. So you're doing Lower Decks and you're like, let's do Strange World. And every season of Picard is like totally different. And one of them is great. And 2 are just like, once again, horrendously bad. Because they have no vision for how do you make something that is exciting for the built-in fan base, but also is an on-ramp. They have no clue what they're doing. Yeah. And like doing Star Trek 4 10 years later, it feels like too little too late. There's no excitement for those films because you waited too long. And it's not like you can do as like a legacy follow-up because you've burned. So I don't know. It's just, it feels weird. All of it feels weird and played out.
Well, Sean and Brian and Matt, I want to ask you guys. So the director that Paramount has hired to helm Star Trek 4 is his name is Toby Haynes, and he was the guy who directed the Black Mirror episode of the USS Callister, which was the Star Trek kind of parody for Black Mirror. Does that give you guys any hopes that Star Trek 4 might actually like be worth something?
I would have to watch that episode, so I can't answer the question.
The article says there's 2 projects, and so it says
Yes.
Todd Haynes is doing the one that's that origin story, not the Star Trek 4 one. I don't know what they're doing with Star Trek 4. This origin one just seems like once again a terrible idea of they don't know what to do, so let's do an origin again. And the writer's the guy that wrote Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Todd Haynes, cool. That was a cool episode of Black Mirror. Fair enough, give you a shot. The guy that wrote Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter writing it, I don't know what's going on. Like, are you trying to make a parody of yourself? Why? Maybe he's great. He's got a great pitch and will win me over. But I see his name and Star Trek. Like, this is an origin to the universe. Like, wait, that story's been told. Like, yeah, they keep doing that. Like, what do you? First Contact is that story. Enterprise is that story. Like, what are you talking about? The origin to the Star Trek universe? Huh? So I don't know. It's just like a.
Can we have Captain Kirk Zombie Hunter? That'd be pretty badass.
All right, you won me back. I'm back in on this. Let's do this.
Actually, Captain Kirk Zombie Hunter. I like that.
Hey, Fat White Boy Gamers, they're a consulting group for Paramount Pictures.
Right. So, Call me.
Hey, the Callister episode was actually pretty good. That's a pretty good episode. And I would be interested to see what the guy who wrote that can do with actual Star Trek proper. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Look, like I know we're all sort of apathetic to Star Trek right now, but I feel like there's more hope in Star Trek than there is in Star Wars. I've completely lost almost all interest in anything Star Wars other than shitting on it. Well, at least with Star Trek.
Man, I'm super excited.
Real quick, we have you fuck that bitch for $199, And
Now
he
you say
said, yeah, you fook that beach for 199. Have you heard any news on Stargate? Fook Star Trek.
Yeah, Stargate is so there's a team at MGM or Amazon Studios right now that is working on two things, Stargate and RoboCop. You know, it's the RoboGate team. And they're working on bringing a revival, not our continuation, to Amazon Prime or maybe MGM Plus, depends on what the budget is. There's a lot going on with that, but nothing is set in stone, and they haven't actually gotten the correct writer yet, and they haven't finalized a lot of stuff. There are people talking about that Stargate already shooting and how they're going to have like a March 2025 release, and that's just untrue. It hasn't started shooting. It's not going to start shooting this summer. They haven't even gotten their writers yet, but it is in process. There is a team over there. The writers' strike slowed them down, way down. There was supposed to be an announcement at Comic-Con this last year, and it was canceled because they couldn't get anyone to come to the announcement, frankly speaking. And the writers' strike was also slowing it down because they couldn't lock in a writer. So it's possible this year we see an actual announcement at Comic-Con with, you know, a writer chosen and some of the actors and stuff that they've made deals with. And that's the best we can hope for, in my opinion. The best we can hope for when it comes to a continuation of Stargate is some kind of announcement this Comic-Con, and maybe they go with the plans they had last year with the Atlantis continuation, and maybe they don't. I don't really know. But last year it was supposed to be a continuation of Atlantis, and there were going to be new characters as well as old characters, basically continuing the story 20 years later, with the story of Atlantis being in San Francisco, and how it got out of there, and the continuation of the Stargate Command.
All right, Brian. So I know we could go on for hours talking about.
I'm trying to be careful too. Sorry,
but we got to move on real quick. We got Major Chai Chai for $5. This morning, I asked the middle schoolers I mentor in STEM what TV shows and movies inspired them to do STEM. Star Trek was not mentioned once. Whoa. That is tragic. Very tragic.
Oof.
But hey, guys, guess what? You know what isn't tragic? We met our goal of gifted memberships, thanks to Jillian N., who gifted 5 Salty Nerd Podcast memberships, putting us, I believe, 2 over our goal. Jillian, thank you. You are fantastic. We love you here at the Salty Nerd Podcast. And speaking of which, guys, all good things must come to an end, and we have reached the end of our show. So real quick, Sean Chandler, thank you so much for being here today. Any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
You can find me on the internet at Sean Chandler Talks About. If you look up Sean Chandler on YouTube, you will either find an NFL player or a guy that looks like me that is talking about movies. It's the guy that looks like me that is talking about movies.
Oh, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, it's just to clarify, make it entirely clear where this is at. I get that people confuse us all the time. People assume I'm an NFL player constantly. Yeah. But yeah, thanks so much for having me on. Always fun to, especially talk Star Trek and rant about the frustrations of it all. This weird time where we have so much Star Trek that's
all bad. Yeah, it's all bad. Speaking of bad Star Trek, Brian from the Popcast, any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
No final thoughts, other than I love all you guys, and Fat White Boys for Life. You can find me at The Popcast, youtube.com/The Popcast. That's my main channel. We have another history coming up this next week. I'm very proud of it. I actually really enjoyed working on it. And and my live show is on Pop Culture Unleashed. You can also find that somewhere. And that's this Monday. And I'm not sure what the time yet is because I'm changing it, and I'm basing it all on a poll. So, see how that goes.
Well, that should be exciting. Well, for those of you out there in the industry who would like to hire fat white boy gamers to consult on your projects,
we're gonna start.
You can submit your application to fatwhiteboy@feetpics.com. I'm sure that will That will go right to Matt Vader, and he will evaluate your application. Matt, Alex, what do we got going on this week on the Salty Nerd Podcast?
We're talking about Godzilla versus X, right? Okay, I'm actually going to the movies with Kadish in like 2.5 hours to go watch
I'm going
it.
on Monday.
It's Godzilla X Kong.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We're going to be finishing up Three Body Problem with a spoiler discussion this week of the entire series, so that'll be fun. Yep.
Yeah, we did the first 5 episodes in our last podcast. We're going to be wrapping up the first season of the series from the Game of Thrones producers, but we're also doing a commentary that'll be available on Patreon soon. What are we commenting on again?
Hackers, old school Angelina Jolie Hackers movie. We're going to do a commentary on that, similar to what we did with Masters of the Universe. I'm looking forward to it because I think most people haven't seen it. I don't know if Jude has. She might have, but Vader definitely didn't. That's going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait. I love doing those kind of things with you. And I saw some people in the comments saying that they loved our Star Trek commentaries. I will continue to lobby to do that, although it'll probably be the downfall of our podcast because Paramount will sue us until we are worth nothing for watching their show.
How dare you?
They hate it when people watch their shows.
Hate it when people watch their shows.
That's true.
One of the reasons why they're at junk status right now.
Yeah.
But we're also reviewing a movie for the Patreon, and the reason we're reviewing movies for Patreon and not YouTube subscribers is because, copyright strike reasons on YouTube. It's very hard to do that stuff on YouTube. So what are we watching on Tuesday that we're reviewing? Corbin.
I can't remember. Oh, Corbin Nash.
Nash.
Oh, dude, that freaking movie is way underrated. People don't even know what it is, but it stars Corey Feldman as a transvestite vampire who is killing people in LA. It's amazing. It's legitimately his best movie. It is so funny. Yeah. It is so outside of the realm of anything you can imagine. It's so crazy fun.
And it stars my best friend Dean Jagger.
Dean Jagger from Warrior. He's the Irish thug from Warrior. He is the main vampire hunter in that movie. It's so freaking good, guys. Go check it out. I can't wait to talk about it on Tuesday.
I'm going to have to get really drunk.
And we're also going to be talking potentially about Code 8 Part 2.
We're not talking about Code 8 Part 2.
I'm not watching it. I don't know. You can watch it, buddy.
Doing that.
I might watch it if I have time.
Yes.
Always trying to shove his shit in there, man. It's like, we're not watching that movie.
Anyway, I want to give a big shout out to everyone who gave us super chats today. Mexican Iron Man, you Puck Dat Bish, Unlimited Power, Brett Dasovic. Sorry, I always butcher his name. I feel so bad. And Major Chai Chai, thank you so much for your super chats. And of course, I give a big shout out to Samuel Schwager and Major Chai Chai for their gifted memberships. And most of all, the queen of gifted memberships, Jillian N. Thank you so much for all your support, guys. We really appreciate it. And of course, big shout out to Scotty Dub for being our top super chatter for $199. Still undefeated. We'll have to see if Forbes steps it up. If not, someone else could potentially hop in there and take the crown. But I want to thank you all for being here today. And be sure to tune in next Saturday, same salty time, same salty channel for more Salty Saturdays. And until then, Alex, you want to send us out?
Stay salty, my friends.